So I'm a consultant, but I'm a wear a cultural strategist hat about this topic. It's called Bridging Narrative. Honest conversation, world progress. So what are we talking about? Imagine two people on different road heading to the same destination. One road is paved with century of struggle, slavery, segregation, racism, systematic racism. The other, while it's new, is still filled with obstacle, migration, displacement, and the challenge of finding a new home or even belonging, right, in a foreign land. So through these paths are different, but they often intersect. And when they do, misunderstanding, tension, and spoken frustration emerge. Is real. Like, many African immigrants arrive in the U.S. chasing opportunity, but often really not aware of the deep historical battle Black Americans are fought, even for them to be here. Meanwhile, African Americans have carried the burden of basically a system designed to keep them at disadvantage, even exist in a time where being Black was like a disease. So these newcomers, they don't seem to share the fight with them, right? And these realities, they don't cancel each other, but I think they do shape the way we see and engage with one another. So what now? What? We don't need to romanticize force healing or unity, because quite frankly, I don't know. There's none. But I think we got to kind of face the tension in the head, and we have to ask ourselves why these conversations matter. Conversation about race and history or these identity, and it's never intellectual exercise. I think it's basically emotional, very emotional. You got to tap into that pain, that frustration, and it's exhausting from both group and all groups. But managing that emotional response, I think, is everything, and it's a progress. Some of us don't know how to do it. But number one, just check yourself, man. When the topic sparks anger or you're being defensive, I think ask where the feeling come from. Am I reacting to an idea or years of build-up frustration? Because a lot of conversation happen online, on the bus, out there in society. We got a whole space for complexity. It's very complex. So I feel like African immigrant and African American have different lived experience, but one struggle does not erase the others. Stay with me. I'm a cultural strategist. Number two, break the cycle of misunderstanding, because we all got different stories, different stereotypes, some true, some exaggerated, but I think a lot of the lie has been fed. So I think it's on us to separate fact from fiction, because the hard truth that you cannot ignore, this way getting comfortable. African immigrant and entire Blackness. Some immigrant arrived carrying colonial era biases, viewing African American through the lens of stereotype fed by the media and white institution. It's not a new conversation. I'm not saying something new here, but it's real and it has caused damage. And it's about acknowledging that this is not about guilt, but it's about responsibility. The same thing on the other side. The African American has been just kind of fed lies, and sometimes the humanized immigrant that comes here. So I think that there's two sides, and you got to look at both sides, where African Americans see immigrant as outsider, questioning even their commitment to the struggle, because you don't really see African community wearing African attire pull up a Black Lives Matter rally, right? And the other side. So it's definitely sad, And then you have the mutual misunderstanding, meaning that not every African immigrant come from wealth, and not every African American is stuck in the past and being criminal. Being criminal is not a Black thing. So we have a lot of stereotype. The list is long. And it just keeps us to have a real conversation. And then we overlook the economic power. Forget about race for a second. Forget about race. I think the real color is green. Money talks. And if we are not strategizing together, we leaving billions on the table. It goes some facts that we already know. The global black economy is worth what? Is it over 1.5 trillion? Yet we know that black-owned businesses struggle for funding, right? Wealth inequality, right? That African Americans have what? 1.78 trillion in spending power, like they say, more than the GDP of Mexico or Saudi Arabia. And GDP means the report card of a country. But only 2% of that is reinvested in black-owned businesses. So it's let's keep going. The continent of Africa is home to 55 countries, right? With a booming market. So by 2050, Africa population will hit 2.5 trillion, making the largest workforce on the planet. So why am I saying all this? What does it matter for me and you? Like all this data. And also, let's not forget that immigrants from Africa are the most educated too. In the U.S., I believe 40% hold a college degree, but the facts can't remain. It's good to throw data and facts and to ask yourself, what does all this mean? It just means that, instead of just competing for crumbs or all that, we don't like each other, right? I think that how do we build together? Don't ask me for the answer. Don't call me. I'm just asking you a question. What can we actually do, though? So, no, we cannot fix everything overnight. But we can start with real action, man. Confront your stereotype. Whether it's an everyday conversation, right? Online spaces. Challenge that lazy narrative that you got on both sides. We too intellectual lazy. And these narratives are going to divide us. They're going to keep us divided. Instead of recognizing economic power, instead of competing, we should be asking, how do we build together? The global black economy is massive. Africa is a rising market, man, with 54 opportunity. I'm trying to stay positive here. Focus on the positivity. But look, lastly, we don't show up for each other. That means that African immigrant barely recognize the ongoing systematic racism in the U.S. towards African American and vice versa. African American don't really acknowledge the challenge of migration displacement. This is going to be trigger. This is a triggering topics. But beyond talk, what's next? This is not about saving each other, man, or forcing all that unity where, quite frankly, it does not naturally exist. It does not naturally exist. I think it's about making intentional choices that can maybe bridge the gap. I don't have all the answers, but I feel like if we talk about this conversation through business, policy, and culture, I don't know, maybe we can close the gap. The diaspora is fragmented. We are fragmented. The fragmentation keep us from leveraging our full potential. And these are the stuff that we already know. But at least if you look at certain trend, I like Ghana is open door to black Americans. Isn't that positive? African markets are expanding. There's a lot of economic collaboration that's happening out there. So we need to have that balanced perspective and invest in a common ground. So lastly, I think for me personally, my reality is emotionally fatigued. I'm tired. These days just call me a human because I wear too many hats, all these identity stuff. Oh, I'm a Congolese American. Or I'm a black man. And then I got to travel in between the world. While in the U.S., I got to deal with, okay, race is a social construct. Oops. And then you got to go back to the Congo like, see as American as it's a lot that you go through. So all that back and forth is exhausting, mentally drained. Don't get it twisted. Identity topic are important. But I think it's why I'd rather working with people who see value in partnership instead of wasting time on identity debates that don't move us forward. It should. You can disagree, that's fine. But my mental health, my sanity, those come first. Like I said, identity is an important topic. But if we're being honest, we just don't value each other the way we should. The division, they're not just misunderstanding, man, they're deep. I just got to figure out what part you contribute on a personal level. And sometimes we just don't like each other, and that's fine. We don't have to force love. All of us are passionate like that. But we do need to have real and comfortable conversation. Maybe I'm all over the place. I don't know. Just add into the conversation. But my final thought is like, don't come for me. My peace come first. I don't care where you're from. I'm here to work, partner, and build. But don't come for me with ignorance is bliss. I'm not saying somebody did it right now. I think in general, all that nonsense and false unity, I think I'm tired. You can add into the conversation, but it's very important to understand that for those of us who see the big picture, let's move differently, man. The future is global. The real currency is its power. You can live locally but thrive in the globalized world. We need to figure out smartest move and then basically stop waiting for a seat at someone else's table. You got to build your own. You got to build your own. So let me learn from you, add into the conversation, and remember, when there's no enemy within, the enemy outside cannot hurt you. And the destruction of a nation begins in a home of its people.